everyone, Coach Sullivan here again with MJS Coaching Football. To my subscribers, I thank you, and to those who haven't yet, I really hope you do. To everyone, I just completed my 38th year coaching football, of which I was lucky enough to be a defensive coordinator. But over that time, I've also been an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, a longtime head coach. I've coached every position on defense, offense. So I've been very fortunate that way, and this is all at both the collegiate and high school levels. So today in this presentation, what I'd like to talk to you about is one of our zone blitz coverages when we blitz either an outside linebacker or a defensive back. So it's either a 4 or a 5-man pressure, okay, that we're going to call trio. So I want to introduce you to the trio concept. And there's going to be some similarity or carryover from other zone blitz coverages as well. Again, zone blitz, okay? And I'm only going to draw it up versus one formation, but the concept remains the same, all righty? So the key terms that we have here, and these all apply, again, starts with, this is a zone coverage, okay? But it's also a blitz coverage. So we combine zone and man principles in here, okay? Surface, well, that's the offensive line. And so the big, again, zone, our coverage is reading the offensive line first, as they do all the time, whether we're blitzing or not. Okay, the only time they don't is when we're in what you might think of as cover zero, no safety help down in the goal line area when we're backed up, right? And the offense is starting to encroach on our goal line. Well, then they're not reading the offensive line surface. Okay, it's a whole other playlist. So this isn't anything new for our guys. Trio coverage, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a 4 or a 5-man pressure involving either an outside linebacker or a defensive back. But see, now here are the specifics. It's a defensive structure change. Whoa, right? Safeties, right? We're in a too high look. Well, that's going to change. And it's not predicated on offensive structure, the backfield. Okay, so this is strictly, we're changing our own structure, safety structure. You have to see other playlists. So if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, and you can go through all my various playlists and you can find this out. All right, but too high, we change it to a 1 high. That's a defensive structure change because of the blitz. So if it's an outside linebacker or a defensive back, that's going to change our safety structure. Okay, so what we say now is the safety spin, both spin on the snap. We don't ever do it before the snap because that helps the quarterback. Okay, so we have a screw down technique that I'm going to show you, or we have a rotate technique that I will also show you, but both spin. Okay, one screws down, the other rotates. We have when it's lucky, it's a Louis. So lucky, I'll go through this. The safeties spin in the same direction. Ringo is a Roger. Again, the safeties spin in the same direction. This is huge. This will be very important as I go through the presentation because it's not happened often, but I have had the safeties go in opposite directions, and sure enough, you guessed it, right down the pipe. Okay? What the term hut means, that applies specifically, and this is where we combine zone and man principles. Because the underneath coverage defenders play man coverage with zone leverage. This is where we literally will combine zone principles with man principles and put them together in cover trio. Okay? Huge. Enormous part of the presentation here today. As I say that, I am not planning on going through all the various 2-man route concepts here. I'm not planning to do that. I'm not even planning to go through any specific blitzes. Just a generic blitz so you can understand the trio concept. Okay? So what I will share with you today is how we combine zone and man principles and why. But again, I'm not planning on going through all the different two-man route concepts that we have. You have to, again, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe so you can get access to all the different playlists. Okay. The reasons to play cover trio. Well, it's less risk. I love the blitz, right? But I don't like to take risks. I am not a gambler. There's a big difference. I love to blitz, but I don't like to gamble. Okay, so you won't ever see it, ever play cover zero that you would call cover zero. We call red. No help anywhere in the deep, middle, none, zero, anywhere but in our goal line. And I could care less if our opponents know that. Okay? Less risk. Keep receivers in front of us, right? That's the zone principle. All righty? Because of all of this, we have better run support. We all read surface first, see? Gives us better run support. If you're playing pure man, so you're focusing on the man, you're going to get gashed in a running game. Okay? The coverage reads the surface, which gives you better run support, which, all right? Put this whole thing together now. And because we have a defensive structure change, that's the reason we have to play cover trio. All right? So now I'd like to get into the presentation. I'm only drawing it up versus what we call 11 personnel, right? One back, one tight end, 2x2 set that we call Dallas. Doesn't matter what I call it, whatever you call it, right? Pro on one side, two wide receivers on the other, gun pistol. All right? So what I will do is I will put defensive reactions in black. I'll have a receiver in red so you can see how we combine zone and man principles. Okay? But first, the call example, and that's why the rover is boxed in red. It's our base 3-4 front, which means we got too high as our base system with too high and everything. It's any rover blitz, doesn't matter which one, trio. Okay, so we'll start there. Outside linebacker, blitzes. To cover him up, you have to have a defensive structure change. That's where the safeties come in. Oh, okay. And yeah, it still applies when one of the safeties themselves are blitzing. That's a structure change. Again, defensive structure change means we cause the structure change, not the offense. Okay? So any type of a rover blitz. So this is how the whole thing plays out first and foremost. What's pre-snap communications involved? Since the rover's on the left, and I always say, well, rover makes the lucky Ringo. So if the rover doesn't know they're the rover, right, we get bigger problems. So the rover makes the lucky call. Safeties make the Louis call. Okay, and again, you don't assume when you install, you teach all these things in either the spring or preseason, or certainly both. Can never hurt you. You got to teach your players how this is a structure change, defensive structure change. Okay, so he's going to disappear. The safeties are going to replace him, which is a structure change for us. So a Louis call. This safety is the one who's going to be replacing the rover. So he will use the screw technique. This safety, Louis, this is where they spin together. Right? We're putting all this together now. Okay, right here. He will use the rotate technique. Okay? So on the snap of the football, the screw technique, he comes down, so he's in a position to be hot on number 2. Okay? As he's screwing down, he is reading the offensive line. Okay? Sky support, right? Piece the whole thing together here. He's reading offensive line first. It's less risky, better run support, especially he's got force. So he comes down there and run. He knows whether or not it's coming to him. So he's got to set the force or if he's on the backside. Okay? This is really big. See now how easily this comes together. So from this point forward, the offensive line surface is showing pass. Okay? Now he will get into his hot coverage technique, which I will get into momentarily. To complete the safety spinning, screw down technique on snap, rotate technique on the snap. The rotate technique, he's got to turn, get into crossovers, keeping head on a swivel, reading surface as he rotates. Okay? So this is in the middle of the field. That does play a role, but I'm not going to get into ball in the hash and all those things. This will just elongate the presentation. Okay? On the rotate, their aiming point is 20 yards. So they start at 12 versus one back. They need to get into rotate technique, crossovers. Okay, turn and run, head in a swivel, 20 yards over the ball, 20 yards over the ball, the origin point of the football. Okay, you want to be in front of the quarterback. You're the middle third defender. Okay. And so he is zone defender. He's going to read quarterback indicator, okay? Quarterback indicator for us, okay, he's right-handed. Front elbow is the left elbow. He's not going to throw it where this elbow's put. He's not here. He's not going to throw it over there, right? He's left-handed, the right front elbow. So it's the front elbow, okay? We teach our kids about the plane and all that, but those are other presentations. That's the middle third. He's hot, okay? Corners are hot on number one. He's hot number two. But see, again, he's orbit, so he's reading surface first for runner pass. If it's run to him, he's setting the force. Run away, shimmy, full, right? So that's huge. Better run support, okay? Now, the maybe, and then I'm going to get into the man coverage with zone leverage, combining zone and man principles, okay? I have not forgotten, believe me. Maybe Mike and backer. They are in combo on the running back if it's pass. Combo. Okay? Mike and backer, and we use the word maybe because maybe I have him. Maybe you do. It depends on who he goes to. He's not going to stay in between them, right? Think about it. So I'm just going to do a scenario where he's going to the mic. Okay? So when he goes to the linebacker has him. He goes away from you. You mirror the quarterback. Okay? So without me getting into a whole lot of technique, running back to you, if he's in protection, you're a key rusher, which is our built-in. It's what they do all the time in our match quarters, okay? He fits in protection. Key rush equals add to the rush. So you potentially have both inside linebackers, one adding to the rush, the other mirroring the cue. Now they're part of the rush. They're adding to it. And that's all predicated on the offensive scheme. Okay? So now what I want to do is I'm going to draw the offensive receiver in red. I want to build in, show you how we combine the man and the zone principles. Play man coverage with zone leverage. Okay? Huge. Again, less risk, keep receivers in front, right? Put all of this together. The reasons why. Big stuff. So here's number one. Okay? Ball snap. They show pass. We'll say it's a play action, right? Say he's doing a 5 to 7 yard crossing route. This is the best, easiest way for me to illustrate how we play man coverage with zone leverage. Okay? Yeah, right? Again, everybody reading surface first. Surface shows pass. Now his eyes immediately go to the man. So that's the zone principle, man principle. Okay? This is the only person in the world now. Zone principle, read offensive line. Now it's man principle time. So now man principle. He's playing off man. Okay? His feet are hot, but he's not taking any pedal steps. He's not walk pedaling. He's at nothing. He's now reading near hip, lead leg, near hip, lead leg. So now as the guy works away from him, you got to close the distance. Now it's got to be within striking distance. Okay? I'll write the words, but it's getting messy enough already. So now here is how he plays the man with zone leverage. He gets within striking distance, gives him a little shot, and now he runs across the field with him. See, that's the zone leverage. He's playing the man principles, right? Off man. The zone leverage is keeping the receiver in front of him. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're used to doing that because our match quarters, again, non-subscribers, you have to subscribe so you can go to these playlists. They're playing man over 10, so that's zone leverage all the time. The key is dominant. And that's the last word I'll write because, right, remain dominant, which means you're on top. He's in front of you. But you play him everywhere on the field. That's the man principle. Okay? Because if you just sit and play thirds and they're running all of this stuff, remember this is a 4 or a 5-man pressure. Involved an outside linebacker. Well, if we involve an inside linebacker on that, a combo, he now has the back. You've got nobody underneath. If the guy runs across and just sits there, he's going to be uncovered. So it's trio, but it is not 3 deep unless the offensive scheme makes it 3 deep. Okay, they got 3 verticals. We've got a safety in the middle, and they're both on top of their verticals. There, yeah, now that's 3 deep. But trio is not a guarantee being 3 deep. If the offense is running short crossing routes, if he's running an out, so, right, he read surface first, zone principle, showed pass, eyes to the man. Now he reads the out. He plant and drives, keeping dominant leverage, keeping him in front. If it becomes a wheel, he carries the wheel, keeping the same zone leverage. Okay, see how this works? So it's a zone blitz coverage. They start off with zone principles, all reading, reacting to the surface. When the surface tells you it's passed, they then kick into man mode. They lock into their man. But then they play the route with zone leverage. They stay on top so the receiver stays in front. We're just looking to make sure he doesn't catch it because we're blitzing. This is where I don't mind blitzing. I'm going to wager that we're going to get and either make the sack, get a tackle for loss, or we're going to disrupt the timing and force the quarterback to make a bad throw or keep it. That's good to me. All right, I'm not one to try and defend every single possibility that could happen on the play. It's not feasible. Okay, so this is why we play the trio concept when we're blitzing it outside, which is a defensive structure change. If a DB were to blitz, it's a defensive structure change. Means the safeties are going to cover it up. And even when one of the safeties is blitzing, we're covering it up with other defenders. Okay, you get to a point where if you blitz so many, you can't do that. Well, that's when we got to be in our own goal line area. So we don't do that other parts of the field. And again, I, for one, don't care if our opponents know that. They know they're not going to be able to get the big shot on us because we're not going to take that kind of risk. Okay? So as I said at the beginning, to my subscribers, I thank you. To those who haven't, I was trying to make this point all along. I encourage you to, so you have access to all the playlists. But to everybody right now, I hope if you have any questions, you reach out to me at CoachMJSullivan@gmail.com because I would love to talk football with you.